Hello, my name is Jazz Rasool and I'm the organiser of the Holistic Media Network in the UK. It's a large group of media professionals who are very interested in promoting holistic and spiritual themes out into the world. Today I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Eric Pearl. Dr. Eric Pearl is well known for his book, The Reconnection, Heal Others, Heal Yourself, and his energy medicine approach, which involves working with energy to heal people. Now, he's been endorsed by notable people like Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer. He's appeared on the Living Matrix DVD, movie and documentary, alongside people like Lynn McTaggart, Edgar Mitchell, Dean Radin, Rupert Sheldrake, and Bruce Lipton. He's also appeared on places like the Dr. Oz Show, on CNN. He's been written about in the New York Times, and he's also presented at leading venues, including the United Nations and Madison Square Gardens. So let's hear from Dr. Eric Pearl what he has to say about his reconnective healing approach and why people are flocking to experience it and understand it and use it to empower themselves and people around them. Hello and welcome, Dr. Eric Pearl.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here talking with you, Jazz.
It's a pleasure and an honour to connect with you before you come over to the UK. Let me just ask you a question to start with, which is, when people first find out about you and your work, what is it that makes them so curious about what you are bringing to the world?
I think what makes people curious about reconnective healing, it depends on their mindset. First of all, for those people who are more left-brained, I think they're fascinated by the fact that it's got more than about 24 different scientific studies going on about it currently all around the world. I think that they're fascinated that it's been demonstrated to be more than twice as effective as physical therapy in just 10 minutes time. I think they're intrigued with the fact that half a dozen or so studies, some are already published, some are waiting for publication, have demonstrated that reconnective healing actually restructures our very DNA, changing and raising the level of light that we emit from the DNA in our cells, making it not just a higher level, but more coherent is the scientific term, or more harmonic, which is part of the reason that the researchers feel that reconnective healings are so fairly instantaneous, and they tend to be lifelong. But I think the real thing that makes us curious about it is an innate curiosity that we as human beings have within ourselves. It's just like birds know when it's time to fly north, when it's time to fly south, in essence, when it's time to fly home. And allowing ourselves to heal is allowing ourselves to return to a state of balance, which is to return home for us. And what's so fascinating and intriguing about this is that it not only allows us to return to our own state of balance, but to facilitate a return to healing, a return to balance for other people as well. And it's not just physical. It's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. People's life courses change with this. I've spent the last 20 years or so traveling around the world educating people about reconnective healing. So obviously, once people start looking, they find themselves on YouTube and many other places, watching, learning, hearing about reconnective healing. Many people have already read the book, The Reconnection, Heal Others, Heal Yourself. It's in over 39 languages so far. And part of what's fascinating about it is that just by reading the book, you can begin to access these frequencies. Even the editor at Hay House told me that she couldn't edit the book for long periods of time without feeling her hands vibrating and her body shaking. She'd have to put it down. She called me up. She said, "What are you doing to me?" I said, "Listen, if I knew how this was working, I would be dangerous.
Well, I think
But
that's what's really encouraging. The stories I've heard from people that they don't know why they're drawn to this. They feel a deep inner calling, as you were saying, and
uh-huh.
sometimes just doing things because you're called to, without really your logical mind, giving you the reasons, is a big enough draw for people. I've spoken to a few of the people that you work with, and they often have said that's really what it is. They turn up, they don't know why they're there, they just know that they have to be, and they're responding to something deep within them and listening to it for a change because it's demanding that they pay attention to this connection that they have that maybe they haven't done before. So it's fascinating that there's evidence, as you've been describing, improving people in an objective way. I know there's been studies done which show that physical therapies might enable people's arms to move maybe 12 degrees, but with reconnective healing it can move up to as much as 26 degrees. So,
Well, no, not just as much as 26 degrees. When physical therapy could bring it to 12 degrees, within 10 minutes of reconnective healing, it brought it anywhere from 26 degrees to returning to an absolute full, complete range of motion, which
I
is
see. Right.
intriguing because it's so fairly instantaneous. And these results tend to be lifelong. It's not like with physical therapy, you have to go back again and again and again.
The next question I want to ask you is about what happens after people get curious. Some of them are drawn to enough of a degree that they actually come to see you in person, either as a client or come to one of your workshops, one of your seminars. When they actually turn up, what compels them to actually physically follow through on their curiosity to come and see you? And what do they actually experience when they come and see you?
Well, actually, part of that question that I want to answer that you didn't ask is really what got me to want to teach this in the first place. Because people had been asking me to teach this, and I had been saying to them, I don't think you can teach it. I really don't think you can teach it. And jokingly, I say, I'm standing there waving my hands in the air looking like an idiot. I said, you go outside, wave your hands in the air, let me know what your neighbors have to say about you. But I got talked into giving these seminars, and I wasn't sure how to. And finally, I decided to share the story of what happened, allow people to feel it, and begin to teach them how to work with it. And this is how the seminars evolved. What makes people come? What makes them commit to working with this approach? I guess is what made me commit to wanting to teach it is the same thing, is that somehow inside of us, I believe in my heart that almost everybody wants to believe that they are enough, that this is our true knowingness, that we are enough within ourselves. And in our quest for that, in reconnective healing, we are given an opportunity to be enough, be abundantly enough by letting go of technique, releasing technique in its entirety. So we don't need to add these externals. And B, releasing fear-based complex protections and rituals. Because these are our add-ons. These are what we add to what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And when we recognize we're enough, there's no room to add in. When we add something to make us more, a technique, a ritual, what we're announcing to the universe is that we are less than abundantly enough. We are less than 100%. And the universe always says yes. In reconnective healing, the concept is to let go of the training wheels of technique and step into our own love, light, abundance, comprehensiveness. And as we let go of these externals, which might at first be frightening for people, it soon becomes very freeing for people because it's empowering. We step into our own internal power. External power, the add-ons, is transient. Internal power is eternal. And by the end of the Reconnective Healing seminars, I can pretty much make you two promises, which are, one, you will be able to do anything and everything in the way of healing that I can do. And two, you will be able to do anything and everything in the way of healing that any human being anywhere on this planet can do. What makes people commit to this approach is that they see the results, they experience the beauty, they experience their own life change, and they experience what it means to help bring about changes, dramatic, unquestionable changes in other people's lives. And could there be any greater gift on the planet
I think
than that?
you've got a good point there, because some of the people I've spoken to who've been to your seminars, if there's one thing that's a common theme that comes up in their experience, is that this aspect of not having fear or technique get in the way of being able to access that power. It ultimately leads them to have an experience of peace and of freedom, and they're really vital qualities. If you want to feel power within you, you've got to have a sense of freedom. You've got to have a sense of peace about that. And those two words, they seem to come up quite a lot. So it seems quite a few people come to the seminars because they have a belief, or they have a feeling that that's what they're going to get. They're going to experience peace, they're going to experience freedom, and that will give them the kind of eternal power that you're actually talking about. That's a very powerful gift to actually give them. So there's just one question I want to ask about that, which is going to just look at what happens after they've had that experience. The last thing I want to explore with you is what happens to people. We've explored what happens before they come to see you, about their curiosity, what happens during the time that they engage with the reconnection experience, and how they discover freedom and peace and power, and how that opens them up to all sorts of possibilities for their lives. After they've come and had an experience with you, after they've entered into the experience of the reconnection, what happens further down the line? Is there an after, or does this actually go on forever, this form of growth, this freedom, this peace, this power that emerges within people? What happens after they've had the experience?
Reconnective healing is timeless. It's about transcending time. And therefore, it's as if you drop a pebble into a beautiful still pond. The ripples begin. But where do the ripples end? Do they stop when we stop seeing them, or do they continue to vibrate and affect the rest of the water, to affect the rest of the water in the universe, to affect, therefore, the clouds and the precipitation and the streams, to affect the universe? So it's a funny question to answer in that way. Understand that these people have suddenly become freed of technique, meaning it's as if they've made the choice of whether they wanted to continue to master the bicycle with training wheels or to master the bicycle itself. Mm-hmm. They've chosen that they're not here to master another energy healing technique. They're here to master healing itself. And so there's an expansion that comes from that. For years and years and years, I've been teaching this work and moving into the next place and the next place, which is just an expansion of where we are. And right now we've made the decision to expand what we've been teaching and create a home for the practitioners. If you go to thereconnection.com, you understand that we're creating a home for the practitioners once they complete the seminars, to help them remain dedicated and committed to making a full-time career as a reconnective healing practitioners. So people end up devoting their lives. You can't help but wanting to devote your life to helping others change their lifetimes. We're now starting to provide many different tools for the community, including teleclasses, an online environment, We've stepped into the age of energy healthcare, and the reconnective healing practitioners now find themselves at the forefront in the mainstream of healthcare because reconnective healing is in hospitals, universities. I've taught close to 100,000 people around the world. I present at the United Nations, to governments, but the most exciting thing is to present to the mainstream public and watch them step into this, doing the same thing that now doctors are doing in hospitals and in their private practices. As a matter of fact, reconnective healing is already legally recognized and acknowledged as government licensed healthcare professions in many different countries around the world. So I think part of what allows the healing practitioners to step into their heart and do what they're doing is to also know that they've got this security blanket of international recognition, as well as knowing that they're following the truth of their own calling.
That's a wonderful position to actually find yourself in. At a place where you are changing the credibility of energy medicine throughout the world to the point where it's even being sanctioned at state level and beyond. For energy medicine to come out of its kind of mystical ancient origins and into something that's subjective, that's based on evidence, as you were mentioning earlier, as well as a tangible
But
experience, that's really, really important.
but this isn't just energy medicine. Actually, what makes reconnective healing so special is that it takes us beyond the energy healing techniques we've known of, Reiki, Qigong, the old ones and the new ones, into a level that science says accesses new levels of light and information beyond the energy we've ever seen. It's easy to learn. My big fear was I was afraid that no one would be able to learn it. And in teaching over 100,000 people, I've yet to find one, not one person who was not able to learn how to do this work. There's only one key to it in order to master it at its highest level, and that is for us to let go of our techniques, our rituals, our fears, and to step into love, light, and a consciousness of abundance and universe. To free ourselves is to free others, to recognize that we are all one, that when one child cries in one part of the planet, 100 children weep. When one child laughs, 1,000 children laugh. For us to recognize that it's time to stop looking at what makes us separate and distinct and unique, but instead what makes us all one, to let go of the t-shirts that say, kiss me, I'm Irish, kiss me, I'm Catholic, kiss me, I'm Jewish, and get new t-shirts that say, kiss me, I am you.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful expression, I think, to finish with. One of the things that I think that I'm really impressed by with regards to reconnection healing is when a discipline is really helping people, people don't just use it for themselves, they want to share it and take it out to other people and become practitioners and take it out into the world. There's a lot of practitioners now, and that's a real sign of the credibility of reconnective healing. How many thousands of practitioners are there across the world who do this now?
I don't know how many tens of thousands of practitioners there are already. I know that this is in most countries around the world so far. I would say there could be about maybe 60,000 practitioners, give or take, around the globe. Various people learning to share the light and love of a new level of healing, because I have to tell you, healing at this level is no longer just about regaining the use of an arm or a leg, a liver or a kidney, your eyes or your ears, but healing is about balance, human balance, and I believe this is us stepping on the next level of human evolution. I actually, crazy as this might sound, believe that we exist on all dimensions at once, and that the rest of the universe is watching humanity right now saying, look, humanity is now taking this step. We are evolving. We are becoming more. And isn't that what evolution is about? What healing is about? Becoming more.
I think you're right, and I think to finish with that, view that there's this vast community of people who are evolving through reconnective healing, and that's spreading out into the world. It's a wonderful time to actually get engaged with reconnective healing, and people can actually come and experience it for themselves. And what I'll do at the end of this interview is I'll give people who want to come and get an experience of it for themselves details of how Eric's going to be coming along and talking about what he's doing here in the UK in September in 2014. But for now, Eric, it's been great listening to where you're coming from with regards to not just healing but human evolution and the oneness that we're all beginning to get immersed in through some of the experiences that reconnective healing certainly provides. Is there anything that you want to say as a parting gift to everybody who's listening?
I think the most important thing for us to begin to recognize is that when we find ourselves out of habit, looking outside of ourselves to find that one special healer somewhere in the world, somewhere in the planet, who was maybe raised by monks in a cave in a mountaintop in Tibet or opened a church deep in Brazil, for us to stop and pause and recognize that that one special healer exists only in one place. And it's time for us to look into the bathroom mirror and see who's looking back at us.
Mm-hmm. It's time for us to all join in on that journey. Thanks very much, Dr. Eric Pearl. I look forward to seeing you when you come over to England in person, and I'm going to really cherish what you're going to bring to the people of the UK. Thanks again. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care.